Hello people. When last we left off, I made a Linux container that was able to run a long-running script in the background, whether you logged off or not, using the GNU screen program. So I can see it's still running there, so I can screen reconnect to foo. And there is just a little script that prints the date every 2 seconds, right? So tick, 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 tick goes by. It happens to have hit the, odd and evens. That's interesting. It's interesting to see it switch from the odd numbers to the even. It's a bit of a rounding issue. So I'm going to Control C out of that to stop that script from running, and then exit out. And that will close that whole screen session there. So there's nothing running invisibly on the background in my remote Linux server, because we're going to be putting something new there. And well, it's not really the kind of thing I'm going to run every second, so we'll probably put a schedule thing there. And there's some great lost work. This was very familiar to me, what I was trying to do, and so I dug into my archives. In fact, I realized since I was going to be emailing something, what I really did is took smtplib and I went into my journal and I searched on that. And I said, oh, look, I did this not too long ago. This was just August 2nd of this year. So there was a whole series of these projects that build up and build up to sending out an email on a scheduled basis. In fact, somewhere in here, there should be stuff about doing scheduling. Yeah, there's some scheduling stuff there. And it was a basic pulse application. These things are to assure you that your server out there somewhere is really there by dropping an email in your inbox to reassure you I'm here and I'm running. I use this for work to make sure my systems are going smoothly. So as long as I receive these emails every day, I know everything's going well. So there's an abstraction slightly better than the built-in Python library called Sched. There's something called SCHED built into Python, but I like to pip install this other one because it lets you do things with better language on how frequently things are going to occur. So we'll hop back out to that server and we will pip install schedule. Okay, so now I can schedule something to happen every so often. So to demonstrate that, I'll clear, see what repos we have. We have a pulse repo. This is a good place to do this test. CD pulse ls. We have a couple of things in there, but we're going to do a schedule test. So it'll be a sched test.py. It's not running it, it's vimming it to create it. And so we will insert import schedule, because there's no way it doesn't begin with that line. But then the other lines of like putting it into use is schedule every such and such seconds. It's also good to import time, although I don't use time until other places down there. It's not necessary for just these basic schedules. So yeah, def job print, I'm working, right? So the basic way to do this is you would def job. We won't make it take any input, and it just prints hello world. So this is the kind of thing which you could exit out and, well, let's see, how would we do that? Then we could just call it. We could call the job. So you understand that this is something you could just go Python sched-test.py, and it would just print the hello world. It's just calling a function that's inside of it. So we're kind of building this up right from there. So looking at our example again, we just want to schedule every, we'll start with every 10 seconds that job. Now you would think that just putting that in there would make it occur, right? I took out the reference to the function itself, but it's not going to do it. Every 10 seconds, it's not going to print hello world. Why is that? It's because we don't have one of them busy loops that I talked about before. When you schedule stuff like this so often, there is a busy loop going on, and here is the one that we want to be using here. Oh, and there's where time sleep comes into the picture. So we'll say we don't really need time, so we'll just do from time import sleep. And then we go down here, while true, colon, and what do they want us to do? Schedule dot run underscore pending. Schedule underscore run. Schedule dot run underscore pending. That didn't feel right as I was typing it. And sleep. They use 1 second. I'll use 1 second. So why not? So now every 10 seconds it'll print hello world. Now we can quit out of that. Invoke it. It'll take a few seconds because 10 seconds have to pass, but it'll do hello world and it'll wait and it'll do hello world a little bit later. There you go. So now it's scheduling, and every 10 second schedule, right? So how about we put that running in the background as our test? So we'll have a scheduler instead of a busy loop. So you might go, what are you talking about? If you look at the other stuff in the directory, the thing we did earlier was pulse.py. That is just a while true sleep 2 seconds between, printing the date, boom, 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 boom. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think the time has come to move that file, move pulse.sh to timestamp.sh, time tests, timestamp. That's fine. And then we're going to move sched test.py to pulse.py because it more deserves being that right now because it's real scheduling. So what is it actually going to schedule? Well, it can schedule external things. We'll do a clear, we'll do an ls. So what kind of external thing would be scheduled here? Oh, did I lose pulse. Oh yeah, timestamp.sh pulse. Oh, interesting. I probably lost pulse.py. That's fine. That's fine. You know what? I'm going to remove timestamp. We're going to focus. This is about focus. So the only file here is pulse.py, which if we vim it, you'll see is that little schedule routine. There's nothing else, but we can actually schedule a thing to occur. And this is something where normally I would build it up, but when I went back to my journal and started lifting this stuff, I realized, well, I've already covered all of this quite extensively. So you can go into my blog and look for things like write a Linux scheduler service in Python. And that'll cover all this quite nicely. But it gave me everything I needed to know where to find where I had done this work before. And this is a notebook, which when I run it, gets a picture of 3 random cats and emails them to me. It also keeps a database file, either here or in, I think I just drop it onto /data, which is interesting. There's definitely cloud drive connectivity in mind. So I'll do a before and after. We'll pull up an email program in a different browser. I use Chrome for things that use different logins. So this login, for example, is my Mike Levin SEO login, which you can tell from the little alien and not much email happening going on. You can see the most recent was one from YouTube, introducing YouTube handles. All right, so before and after. I run this. It's going out and grabbing some random cats and sending me the email before and after. Did I get and there you saw it arrive. And so this is an email that, is HTML formatted email with an embedded picture you can see, and then an embedded zip file with further data that you could download and archive and look at. So this clearly has lots of good stuff in it for me to customize and do email notifications that could really do wonderful things for me. So instead of laboriously building it up from scratch, you can go through my videos, go back in my videos, or alternatively look at my blog and just read down the topics in the blog to find this getting built up. I'm just going to copy that whole thing. I go over here and I go vim sendcats.py, install, or insert mode, right click, escape, right, quit. And there might be some dependencies it needs. Yeah. And some that I can't necessarily let you see. So I might use the pause feature while, see the, there's going to be some credentials here somewhere because you can't send an email without credentials. Yeah, it's going to probably be in the mail from, so please stand by. So I put these two files in location, and as I thought, this mail from has the from email on the first line, then the second line is an application password, which you have to get Google to issue you, or else, you can't do this kind of stuff because, spam cannons and all that. So I should be able to just do Python sendcats.py. I think there might be some warnings for stuff I need to install, but we want to get a before and after setup again. We will delete that last instance of it, right? So again, YouTube is the last thing that was sent to me. And if I run this, something needs to be installed. Pip install requests. Try 2. Password read lines. The number of lines required. I probably just let an extra line or so in. So, un momento. Okay, yeah, I just edited these files and took the extra line at the bottom. I'm doing some very, very quick and dirty file parsing there. So I wasn't that careful about the extra line. Okay, a logo needs to be there. That's fine. That's harder to move around because this is a location on kind of a cloud drive, but it does have access to data, my data drive. So I can go over here and go into a Windows Explorer, and from there I can go into my data drive. Now first it's a from location, repos, and from out of my repos it's practice, and it's one of my logos there. Okay, so we open another Explorer window, and I'll just drop that right onto data because I know that'll be an easy path to find it from. I'll clean up after myself later. And now we can cp:/data/m tab to my current location. And now we'll try running it again. Email sent. So we go over here, we wait a moment, And there it is, another email sent to us. So we know we have the ability to send these cat emails. I should show you, I guess, for personality's sake, how cool that is. Oh, this is on a Linux thing, so I can't even show in folder necessarily. That won't work out, will it? Oh, it will. Excellent, excellent. Extract all my cats. And these are cats that don't exist, that I am downloading off of the internet specifically so that I can send this email. See, 3 cats that don't exist. And I just keep sending them to me, and I do a database as well, which we'll get into. It's images held in a SQLite database. So I really dabble. I do a little of this and I do a little of that in order to have a really good example of doing something automatically on a schedule. Did I mention on a schedule? So we'll clear, we'll ls. So I ran sendcats directly, okay? But now we don't want to. We want to run sendcats on a schedule, and that schedule is defined in here. And I think over in my journal, I show how to call an external file, or if I don't, I really should. See, I'm just scheduling that job internally. Let's see if I have any other schedule dot occurrences other than those that are in that immediate vicinity. I'm looking for something that would refer to an external file. There, look, send mail. I knew I was going to have one around. And so this is the syntax for calling an external file. I just need to position things very carefully. And look, I was extremely same thinking last go around, last time I used this in a scheduler. So I turn off the line numbering and stuff so that a copy goes smoother, more smoothly. And then I go over here, and then I put a new function in Pulse. In Pulse, in addition to the job function, we can now have the sendmail function. Now instead of okay, job goes every 10 seconds, but I'll say every 25 seconds. So we don't have to wait too long. So it'll basically be 2 hello worlds and then an email. And then I'm going to go back and change the duty cycle because I don't want this email sent to me every 25 seconds. That's a lot of cats that don't exist. So instead of the job, it's going to be sendmail. And you'll notice you don't use the open close parenthesis when you send a function as a value. I mean, you could if you wanted the value of the function to be passed, but this API calls for sending the function name on the scheduling command. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Let's look over it and make sure there's no silly dependencies I'm missing. All right, so there is this path, which I'm pretty sure is exactly the same as before. Now this is different because I use the word repos, and instead of scheduler, now I remember what the old repo name was. I can look in there instead of the practice directory and make sure I got the latest. But I currently named it Pulse. Now CWD and PYX carry those values that are being formatted in with F strings, and the command is run. Yeah. So once again, I'll go over to my email and delete this one out for a valid test. Once again, YouTube is the most recently sent. And yeah, I guess that's about it. I can do Python Pulse. See, and now it's Python Pulse that we want to test run. After 10 seconds, we'll get a hello world. Hello world. We'll get one more hello world after 10 more seconds. And then 5 seconds after that, we'll get email sent. or 5 seconds plus the processing time that's required. Oh, run is not defined. Well, I'm going to have to speed up those duty cycles to do fast tests, so I don't have to make you sit through that all the time. But I had added a function called run to make this possible. Of course, that is such a important part. And then there's going to certainly be some imports that are going to need to be done. I can proactively get those imports done here too. Impulse.py. There's the run function. pep8 has us putting 2 spaces in these locations. All right, pep8. And then a couple of imports that eluded me before. So whichever ones are referred to in here, standard out. And subprocess, I think. We'll see if these 2 lines are enough to get this to run. Well, it's running. If it has an error, it unfortunately is going to be after this 25-second wait. But I didn't think to change the duty cycles shorter before I ran the test. So 25 seconds later. Yeah, okay. SHLEX. I need this one here. Let's make that 1 second and 2 seconds, but that's going to repeat every 2 seconds. So we'll make that repeat every 10 seconds just so that I have a reasonable amount of time to cancel it before I'm deluged. So the first one, hello world, comes up every 1 second. So after 10 of those, because that's scheduled every 1 second, that's why it's coming up that frequently. After 10 hello worlds, sending mail. If it completes successfully, it'll start doing hello worlds again. And I'll control C it because we don't need those emails coming in repeatedly. And we'll take a look. This should do an update in a moment. And there it is. The email came in. So now my final step before I just leave this running as kind of a shoulder tapper for myself. So I clearly don't need so much verbose output. And we're going to be running that in the screen terminal. I'll get to, I guess I'll get to doing it as a service on the video after this. I thought it was going to be this video, but adding email support and making it a Linux daemon in the same video is probably a little bit too much. So just email support. We'll do one final vim of Pulse to adjust these scheduled duty cycles to something more reasonable. First, we don't really need to do the hello world at all, so we'll just edit that line out, and then every one day. Now I'm going to check the syntax of that. I'm not sure if I used that in the journal before, but if you ever have questions, you just, you know, can go to pypi.org. That's the Python packaging index organization. And this is where all the pip installs come from. So if you pip install anything, it's really from these folks. I've got a few packages there. And we are going to type in schedule. I sometimes feel okay about using these packages because they're the one who got schedule. If someone else abandons it, and you can see it wasn't updated in a long time. They aren't very active, but they don't need to be. If someone abandons it, it'll be picked up. It's not a complex scheduler API. It's actually quite simple. Every day. See, you can do every day at, and I'll do that. I'll make it every day at a particular time. There, that's how it looks, isn't it? Every has an open close after it. And even though it has an open close after it, it still has a dot. See that? Some people find this a little weird. The calling of the function is in fact also a function. So when you call the function, it returns something that you can do dot further things on. So every day at 10:30, I guess, is that AM? I guess it is, because here's a 13:15, so it must use military time. So every day, I'm going to make it earlier because I want to try and think about pushing my videos out and stuff much earlier during the day. So I'm not sure if it uses daylight savings and everything, but I will use 6:30 a.m. I'm going to get this email about these 3 cats. And that will be what I use and leave running. How do I leave it running? Well, I'll go into a screen. Whoops. Screen by itself doesn't do much. Screen, reattach, uppercase R to create it, and we'll call it cats. CD pulse, Python pulse. Oh, why is that? Invalid time format for the daily job. Hour, minute, seconds. Let's see what I did wrong. We can still edit inside a screen, no reason not. Schedule every day at maybe at 06. Maybe you got to do full military time. And that was it. It required full military time. And it's just going to sit there and it's going to send me that email tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m. This is the test. And there it is. A long-running thing that's just going to email me every day. This is getting my foot in the door. The point is running some code 24/7 and have that code that's running 24/7 come and tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, remember, I'm running over here. You got stuff you're planning to do, so come and put more in here than just sending you 3 cats every day. And this will help prod me into a little more meaningful action each day on these projects, which, while related to work in my day job, there's nothing I'm showing here that doesn't come into play in my day job, but I can use whatever excess energy I have in the, after the day's end, or maybe in the early morning, to slam out a video or 2 to keep these things moving forward, because we're taking this to machine learning and we're going the distance. See you soon.